Hi, everyone. I'm Thor Metzinger from Fiske Planetarium. Welcome to Jacob Matthews Memorial Service. We are still waiting for a few friends and family to arrive, and the ceremony will begin shortly. So please hang on.
You want it to last forever, you know it never will.
Can you hear me? My son, Jacob Allen Matthews, was a unique, wonderful human being. During his 23 years, he touched others with his humor, intelligence, kindness. Although he struggled with bipolar disorder, he found ways to bless others with his unique advice, knowledge, and empathy at the most crucial times. He made me happy just by calling, striding into a room, or flashing his big dimpled smile. He texted songs and articles to cheer or enlighten me. The world seems empty and lonely without him. Jacob took an unusual and winding path to faith and arrived at his own sincere belief in one loving, kind, true God and a living, breathing Jesus that supported ancient socialist causes. He called the Holy Spirit Sophia. And so let's start with a brief prayer. Eternal loving God, that is with Jesus and the Holy Spirit and wills the reconciliation of all mankind. We ask your blessings on your child Jacob that left our world too soon. He brought us love and happiness during his short life. He fully experienced life with immense joy and great sadness. He was loved. Please forgive him his faults and keep him in your loving presence. Help those he left behind to remember his love and kindness and acceptance of all people. We look forward to reuniting him with him. Your blessed reconciliation. Amen.
First of all, I want to thank everyone who came today in person and anyone watching live online. I really appreciate it. I'm just going to read a little bit of the eulogy for Jacob. On September 26, 1998, Jacob Allen Matthews was born, and on that day, the world became brighter. He passed away in his sleep early January 1st, 2022, in the comfort of his home. He was only 23 years old. During his short life, he touched the lives of many with humor, intelligence, and kindness. He was extremely inquisitive from birth, exploring the world as soon as he could. Jacob loved to learn and develop his own opinion. It is entirely possible that he read every Wikipedia article known to man. His formal and informal studies included astronomy, religion, politics, history, music, and humanity. Jacob graduated from Marino High School in 2017, unsurprisingly as class valedictorian. At the same time, he obtained his associate's degree of science from Northeastern Junior College. He was set to graduate this May with a bachelor's degree in astronomy, along with a minor in political science and a STEM teaching certificate. Jacob held a wealth of knowledge in many topics, and he loved to talk about them. Family and friends could always expect rich, colorful conversation with Jacob, and no topics were off the table. Often, they were blessed with random information, diverse music, and wise advice, frequently receiving well-chosen articles or songs by text, often calling them around 3 a.m. just to chat. Jacob enjoyed connecting with people of all walks of life and found the stories of their lives intriguing. He talked with professors, students, customers, bus travelers, and homeless people. He occasionally terrified his family by allowing homeless people in his car, and sometimes even his home. But it was because of his deep well of empathy and compassion for those down on their luck that made him throw caution to the wind. Jacob undoubtedly loved his cats, and also his family and friends. Most importantly, he loved and adored our daughter. He looked forward to watching her grow up and couldn't wait to share his interests with her. He had many thoughtful, lovely plans. Jacob was loved dearly, and he will be missed immensely. I hope you guys can enjoy this show of pictures throughout Jacob's life. Thank you. you enjoyed that. Just want to share a little bit about how Jacob and I met. I met Jacob at Northeastern Junior College. I was a tutor there. He was also a tutor there, but he actually scheduled a physics tutoring appointment with me just so he could have a solid excuse to talk to me alone. He actually missed our first appointment. I asked him why. He said, "I took a nap and accidentally slept through it." To which I replied, "Who naps at 6 p.m.? I would later find out that this was entirely possible, that he would be napping at 6 p.m. Jacob frequently took excessively long naps. I would often tease him about his love of those long naps. I'd say, "Yeah, right, you're not napping, you're just going to sleep, that's it." He would try to get me to enjoy those long naps with him, but I'm not really a napper. He did make it to the second appointment, but he was 15 minutes late, so he almost missed it. He came striding in, his long legs, really fast, with this look on his face like he was a man on a mission. It didn't take me long to realize that Jacob in fact did not need tutoring. He was brilliant. He kept the next two appointments anyway, and I humored him. Our last tutoring session, he walked me out to my car, and as I was turning away, he said, "Hey, I have a question." And I whipped around to see Jacob grasping the straps of his backpack tightly, standing nervously on his tiptoes in his flip-flops, which was impressive as he was already 6'3". He said, "Do you want to go to dinner with me?" And then quickly added, as a date. I said absolutely. I'd actually really been hoping that he would ask me out. We would go on our first date the very next night. And 3 months later, we got married. Most people thought we were quite crazy, and in our own ways, we certainly were. But it was already at that point that I couldn't imagine a life without Jacob. And I still can't. Jacob and I shared pretty much everything. We talked every single day from that night he asked me out. We shared laughter, knowledge, music, vast joy. We also shared immense pain. Neither of us were unfamiliar with the complexities and difficulties of mental illness. But Jacob breathed life into me. He made me feel comfortable with who I am and where I came from. I think that's something he did for a lot of people. There were very, very few things that I wouldn't do for Jacob. It was hard to resist that smile or his kind eyes. It brings me comfort knowing that our last conversation on New Year's Eve was sweet. We talked about our daughter, and we made plans together. We laughed, and we both said in our own ways how much we love each other, how we always have, and how we always will. And I will miss him dearly. With that, I would like to say, if anyone else would like to say anything about Jacob or share any nice memory or funny memory or really anything you want, thank you for listening to me.
I was one of Jacob's best friends. I could see by all you guys here that he touched you all, but he touched me specifically. That man helped me not only get through school, that man helped me discover who I am as a person. He helped me strengthen my faith, and I'm not even sure if he knows that, if he knew that. But that man, I can honestly say I wouldn't be the man I am today without it. No, man. You know, all the times we just drive around, going on bad roads, just wasting time. There was one time we even went all the way to Alt, just to go find like a nice stargazing place. We were just driving, talking about Vladimir Lenin and shit. And we get there, we see the stars, and it's cloudy, there's nothing really to see, you know? And we go, and we get back in our car to get back home, and he's out of gas. Okay? And if you don't know, there's no gas station within 60 miles of there, Sterling. Okay? There's a gas station, and I told him, just use your card, and he was like, no, my mom's gonna find out. So we scrounged up as much change as we could, and we waited until 6 in the morning till that gas station opened so we could get home. And it's the crazy stuff like that that I'm gonna miss about him. I just want to say thank you all for being here with me, and us, Sheila, and everybody. And I just want to say a prayer. Just Father, thank you for everything you gave, all the time you gave us with Jacob. Please teach us how to lead, teach us how to love like he did. Amen. Thank you. Anybody else? Stage is yours.
I just wanted to say that Jacob was a great friend to me, and I was lucky enough to even get to live with him for a couple of months. And he was the type of person that took me in with no notice, no questions asked, and he would have let me stay as long as I wanted. And in the time that I lived with him, I got to experience the love for life that he had, and it passed down onto me, whether it was stuff that I already loved, like his great collection of music, or something that I probably wouldn't have loved without him, like cats. I never would have been a cat person without him. But Jacob made me love cats. And like Taylor was saying, there was always great adventures with him. It always seemed like we got stranded. I remember another time, we got lost in Denver. We couldn't remember where I parked my car. Neither of us even thought to think about it. And we spent the whole night walking through downtown Denver, clear until the sun came up. And honestly, should have been a scary experience, but having him with me, it kept the laughs going, and he kept my spirit light. And I just want to say, he really touched me, and he'll live on throughout all of our hearts. Thank you.
Sleep my mask. I didn't know the protocol, but I heard about a lot of these adventures years later. He always had something. He always called me. When he was 17, he's like, hey, Bernie's going to be Fort Collins. I'm like, well, you should go. So he takes off to Bernie, and then he calls me on the way home and tells me all about it. And up till he died, he'd call me and say, hey, there was this guy on the bus, or, you know, I saw this turtle in the pond. And he always had some little story for me, and I'm going to miss his stories. From the time he was little, he'd say, "Hey, Mom, when I was on the bus, I saw a bulldozer go by," or, and my world seems really empty without it. I keep waiting for him to call and tell me about things. Sometimes things I didn't want to necessarily hear. About these two in the front. Sometimes I'd have to say too much information, sorry. But he had a real love for people and of all walks of life. And he would, like Sheila said, he would terrify me because he'd say, "I sat down and talked to this homeless guy for 2 hours." I'm like, "Son." But that was nothing for him to do that. He also suffered a lot with his bipolar disorder. It was really up and down for him, and sometimes I heard from him most when he was at his worst. And so I always treasure those times when he was happy, and when people tell me happy stories about him. I really treasure those because sometimes I was the person he turned to when he was at his low point. So I really appreciate all of you and the happy stories you bring to me.
So Jacob was my big brother, and the one thing he taught me was kindness. Ever since I was little, he would pull me around in our grassy backyard on a snow sled and make my sister do that and say that he would cook food for us, and he did. And he would play make-believe with me all the time, even though he was a little bit older than me. And we would have arguments all the time on how you should treat everybody kindly. It doesn't matter who they are, or whether they might be dangerous or not. It doesn't matter. You need to treat everybody with kindness. And I'm gonna miss his calls all the time, and him wanting to help me with my homework all the time. So I hope everybody can remember him as just a really kind person.
My name's Alyssa. If it's okay with you, Sheila, I just want to read a little bit of what I sent you. I guess I don't really know where to start, or how to say just how much Jacob meant to me over the years I knew him. So I guess I'll start just there, in the beginning. Sorry. I met Jacob when he was in high school. I was 24 and he was 17. I loved him like a little brother. You see, we met on one of my favorite camping trips, one to explore the geology of southern Utah. My dad was a teacher at NJC, and he was one of the instructors on that trip. And being one of the older students, I kind of took him under my wing and I looked after him. And the bond that we made over that week-long camping trip is one that I can never forget and never let go of. I had returned to enjoy this trip for the 10th year with my dad. Jacob shared his love for astrology and nature with me over the course, and I shared with him my love for nature and yoga. We did yoga on top of a cliff face. We did that in Canyonlands, and oh man, he complained so much. He would not stop complaining and bitching because the stretch was too stretchy and he couldn't do it. But we did it. I made him do it. I can still hear his laughter and remember the smell of his bare feet pressed into the red rocks. I felt so responsible for that little high school kid on this trip. If you didn't already know how much he loved the outdoors and camping, well, he did. We hiked almost 80 miles together that whole week. Step by step, we shared our lives in every waking minute. We really both lived in the moment and agreed that our friendship would withstand time, distance, or circumstances. We continued to hang out over that summer. He really cared about me and even gave me a shoulder to cry upon when I broke up with my boyfriend at the time. I had drank a whole bottle of wine and decided that it was such a great idea to go egg this guy's truck. Jacob picked me up. He didn't help me throw the eggs, he was just my getaway driver. We tried to contain our laughter, and I swear, 5 minutes later, that truck was all cleaned up. Like, that guy could definitely hear us. I still remember the day when he told me about you, Sheila. I remember how nervous he was to come talk to you. I tried to give him pointers, but that kid, I don't know if you could help him in that department. I'm definitely gonna miss his late night phone calls. He'd call me at 3 a.m. and I'd be like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, oh, nothing, just woke up from one of those naps. Like nothing had ever happened. It's crazy to me that I won't get those phone calls anymore. It's crazier to me that all the years that he worked here, he always asked me to come up here and I never made it, and this is the reason I'm here now. And it's bittersweet, I guess. I don't know. Definitely gonna miss him. He always talked about how much he loved you. Always talked about how much he loved you, Jill. I've always asked him about you guys. I couldn't help it. I guess that's it. I don't know.
Hi, my name is Amanda. I'm a navigator here. I'm definitely not going to remember everything that I wanted to say, but Dave and I shared life struggles, and he was somebody that could always just complain to each other. We never tried to fix each other's problems. It was just complaining. It was nice to know that somebody else felt the same way. And our weekly Pink Floyd show, that was me and Jacob. Oh yeah, we would do the full album. None of that 60-minute jump around stuff. No, full front to back executive, the wall Pink Floyd album. And he would sit here and we would jam for that whole 80 minutes, pushing each other, singing. And he would say, oh God, that looks so cool, do this next. Like, it was a joint show for sure. And I don't think I'll ever be able to do a Pink Floyd show without at least putting a picture up and say, he's jamming out with us too. And one thing Carla and I were talking about earlier is that Rolling Stones concert that he went to with his dad. Oh yeah, he talked about that all the time. and you know, ever since the first of the year, all I can think about is we gotta get a Rolling Stones show in here for him at some point. And you know, the phone calls. It was so cool to hear that I was not the only person to get that phone call. And like I was kind of saying to a lot of you guys around here, it was just really nice to see how much love was just everywhere for him, whether it was at work or school or just hanging out at home. Pretty sure I've never drinking red wine with any other person than Jacob. And played with those cats. Oh my God. The first time I went to his apartment, he just let the cat out of his apartment, out the front door. So I was like, what? But they always get back to him, so yeah, he loved his cats and they loved him back. And I guess the other thing that I think about a lot when I think about Jacob is that I don't know too much about politics or government and that kind of stuff, but that was his strong suit, man. And I would always tell him that Jacob was going to start the social revolution. I would follow him anywhere, so. Yeah, he's a good dude. Pink Floyd will always just be like forever embedded with that man now. And God, it's just so good to see you guys all here. Like, it really is. I also really love hearing all the stories and seeing the pictures.
was he holding an alligator in one of those pictures? Because that was pretty crazy. So yeah, I guess the last cheesy piece of like advice or whatever that I think is, everybody says it, but this is a slap to the face reminder to tell people that you love them. Because I did not tell him that I looked him enough.
He knew.
I do love my Fiske family.
He knew. He talked about you.
Good, and it was really great to talk to you guys too. I would like to talk to you a little bit more. But yeah, thank you so much for being here and just getting more stories about him. That's how he lives on.
So I worked with Jacob for not entirely sure how many years. Sometime around when I started working here, I remember training him. I didn't really do much front desk stuff, so I kind of was like, this is a phone, this is a computer. If you need anything, ask someone else here, because I don't know what they're doing. And then it seems like the next time I saw him, I was learning from him. He was like, this is the phone. You were pointing at the fax machine. I learned most of my front office stuff from Jacob, and I taught him how to be an usher, but he actually taught me how to be an usher. A lot of the stuff I did around here, Jacob was just, he was good at always helping everyone. The best shifts that I ever had when I worked here, I would always check, and if I saw Jacob's name on there, I didn't care if I was working doubles or if I could just stay here the whole time, because I knew if he was working, it was going to be the best shift that I've ever had in my life. And if I was working in here, I would constantly be hoping for a chance to go swing by the front desk just to see what crazy thoughts are going through his head. The stories, it's great to hear all these stories that everybody has with him, and I've been sitting here thinking, trying to pick out a specific one, and I just can't, because the amount of just weird. There's like a weird thing that happens around this place around like 1 o'clock, and like it's just a haze, and the things we would talk about. I mean, we would get just so deep into something, and then like 20 minutes would go by, and just be like, "What are we talking about?" Like, I don't really know. But I'm gonna miss that about him. Even though I started right before him, it's not gonna feel like Fiske without him. When I think of Fiske, I think of Jacob. Walking around in those flip-flops, no matter what the weather was. He was an amazing friend. He was an even better coworker, and from what it sounds like, he was just an even better person. So, he'll be missed.
Good to meet everybody. My name is Elsa, and I knew Jacob from CU and like a lot of other people around here. We were. Sorry, the sounds are. I sound like Darth Vader over here. Sorry. He just would, come come up to me and be like, hey, you want to go get coffee sometime? And when the pandemic started, you know, a lot of people that I knew, I just kind of faded out and never saw them again. But Jacob would be there texting every couple of weeks, you know, like, oh, you want to have a phone call, you want to go for a walk. And I just really appreciated that about him. And he would honestly kind of annoy me sometimes because he would text me like, oh, I was in the hospital. Sorry I didn't respond to your last text. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And I'm like, Jacob, you don't need to respond to text when you're in the hospital, but he would. He just had such a devotion that so many people are saying to his friends and his family. He really thought that he needed to be there at all times, you know, being the great friend that he was. And yeah, I don't know, just every time, I feel like every time I talk to him, he has some new scheme for the future. He's going to be a space lawyer. Going to be an astronomer. And so it's just, you know, so delightful to hear what he was going to do next. And, you know, I know that a lot of that, you know, a lot of his dreams too were about his family and really wanting to be there for them and for everyone in his life. So, rest in peace, Jacob, and it's so good to see everyone here.
I'm too short for this. I'm just going to shout. Hi, everyone. My name's Allie, and I am a navigator here at Fiske. I used to work in the front office, so I got to spend a lot of time with Jacob there. So it isn't going to feel the same without him. As you were talking about, every time you would see his name on the same shift as us, it just was great. It would just make your day. I'm not going to lie, I did purposely schedule myself to have same shifts with him a few times so that I had something to look forward to. We had this show called Mesmerica, and those who worked it know it wasn't a bad show. We just did it a lot, and it got really annoying. And Jacob was able to usher it a few times, which I don't know how, but he made it the most enjoyable experience every single time. I mean, we despised showing up for those shows, and he just made us laugh the entire time and made it something to look forward to. And I think that's something I'm going to miss about him not being here at Fiske, is that even if I had a really bad day, I knew that work was going to be fun at least. And I'm glad to hear that he talked about random things with everyone, because I would come back into the office sometimes after a show and he'd shut down the lobby, but he'd still have Wikipedia up. And he'd be like, hey, have you heard about this? I just read about it. I read this entire page in 5 minutes, and let me tell you. And we'd just go on, and it was super fun. And several times I'd be like, Jacob, it's 1:30 in the morning. I gotta go home. You should go home. And yeah, I'm gonna miss that. He was a great person, a great friend, and a great coworker.
I'm Jill, Sheila's mom, Jake's mom-in-law. First time I met Jacob was
on December 24th. It was the most traumatic day of my life. And I was in the midst of probably a complete nervous breakdown. And he was in the midst of all this chaos. And I thought it didn't get better for me after that. And we didn't have Christmas that year, but Jacob stuck around. And we bonded from there. Yeah, my cat loves Jacob more. That's my cat on his lap in one of those pictures, Willie. I thought if any young man can come to my house in the middle of all this and stick around, he must be good. And we had lots and lots of long conversations, like what you say, about everything. He loved ice cream, and that was his favorite dessert. And I had this ice cream maker I had just gotten in, so we made this homemade ice cream, and he came out, and there he is. He's happy, standing there licking his spoon out of the carton. I had to send ice cream home with him. It just seemed like a beautiful thing. Him and my daughter, they were just perfect together, really. I'm going to miss him terribly. So his little baby Dan, and I guess that's it.
My name is Carla, and I work here at Fiske. And I'm not going to say anything new that you already haven't shared. But Jacob was an amazing person. He was always someone that when I saw him coming down the hall, my heart just rejoiced. He just brought joy to Fiske, and he was so damn dedicated at his job. He was so good. He was so aware and relaxed at the same time. And he was able to be so professional, yet still be himself. Fiske is so much better for having him here, and I will miss him. I will miss the kitty stories, and I will really miss talking about music with him. I don't think I will ever hear the Rolling Stones without his laughter, and his face, and yours too, Sheila. And he was an absolute joy. When I found out he passed, I went back and I read all of the emails that we had traded for about the last 6 or 7 months. And the last email that we shared was on the 22nd of December, and we were talking about a membership question he had had. And then we delved into personal stuff, making sure that we were each doing okay. And he thought that he'd gotten through the semester really well. He was so excited to be going on into his next semester. He was so proud of us all for getting through the pandemic and for making it through 2021. And he was extremely hopeful about 2022. And I have read that email over and over, and I just think the world of him. And his laughter will always be with me.
Hi, I'm Thor Metzinger from Fiske. As you may have picked up on, we're a very close-knit family here. It's good to keep together. One of the things that we often do to those that leave us is we give them a lifetime membership. So I'm going to make sure that his membership goes to his daughter, and she'll have forever access to Fiske.
My name is Tito. I am Jacob's supervisor. I met him about 5 years ago or so when he walked into the planetarium and said, "Hey, this is such a great place. I love stars. Can I work here?" I said, "Well, do you have a resume?" I said, "Sure, yeah, send it to me." He did that within a couple of days or so. We met and he said, "Yeah, you are going to be a great fit for the planetarium." And boy, he was. We talked pretty much every single day that he was working at Fiske. We share not the same office, but my office is next to the front office. And he will always crack me up listening to Jacob smile and laugh like, like that. And you said, well, that's a very unique way to express what you are saying, what you're feeling. And I think that's my most fun memory of Jacob. Just that split of a second where he just laughed, just without control. And he was very addicted to that. He is a big guy, 6'3". Yeah. So, as he was learning the process of doing events, rentals, God, he was a big help on rentals, but mainly with the late laser shows, because he was such an imposed person, but gentle, and he was able to diffuse any bad situation that was just about to get a little bit dangerous, and he would just go like, "Would you please, sir, be nice?" And then that would just diffuse the whole thing right away. He was my to-go guy for special events. He, one time we got a problem with the toilet. And he said, "Well, let's call facility management." He said, "No, they're just gonna get here way too late." So he just grabbed the plunger and they just plunged the thing away. So now he was that kind of guy. He said, no matter what, he will do the next thing what is needed to get the job done. I will keep his memories in my heart all these times until it is time for us to leave him. I feel content that I know that he's dancing with us in the stars. Thank you.
My name's John. I'm the director here at Fiske. Jacob got here about a month or so before I arrived, about 4 years ago. And so he's always been a part of Fiske for the time that I've been here. Truly magical human being, as we all know. Magic is the only word I can use to describe him. Just his laughter, his enthusiasm, the spark in his eye when he had that little thing he wanted to share. You could also see the sadness. You could see the days walking by the ticket office when he was just really, really down and wasn't doing well, but he didn't hide it. He let us know that he was here and that he was part of our family. And he will always be missed for as long as all of us are here. My last day with Jacob was the 17th of December, after the end of the finals of the last semester. Tito and I were confused. I was supposed to be here, but Tito came instead to cover for that night. And so he took the morning shift, he took the first shift, and I took the laser show. Took the Pink Floyd show that John Schiller was showing, along with Ramey. That same day, I had been given a singing bowl by my staff, who I love so much. This bowl right here, Jacob had come to watch our Forward to the Moon premiere technical review that Laura was putting together. Watched that with us, and then I walked to my office where Brianna and I share, and Jacob was there to surprise me for my new holiday gift of my singing bowl. And I learned how to use a singing bowl that day, and thanks to Thor. And Jacob tried to use it and got frustrated, but he enjoyed it. And then that night, my lasting memory of Jacob is that night there had been a family with a father in a wheelchair and the mother and the 2 kids. And they'd arrived late. It had been a little bit confusing getting them in, and afterwards talking to Jacob, he said, yeah, I had a great time talking to that family, talking to the dad, and just, sometimes when you just say a little thing and just like ask someone how they're doing or share a little bit of your soul with them and let them know that you care, they really open up. And he, described the 10-minute conversation that they had, which was made then 10 minutes later for the show. That's Jacob, right? He knew how to really reach out to people and to really let them know that he cared. We're all a family here at Fiske, and we can't even begin to feel the pain that the Jacob's closest family feels. So I just want to make sure that you know that you're always welcome among us. Fiske is always here forever and ever. I was standing above the dome before I came out here to this memorial. I was looking at the beauty of this dome that we live in, but it's also got texture, right? It's got texture, it's got triangles, it's got jagged edges, it's got snow that makes rumbling noises when it falls off of it. All of us are precious, special souls with jagged edges. And Jacob had jagged edges, but they were magical and beautiful. So I'm just really honored to know you all, to have known Jacob. We're all made of chunks. When I lost some other close employees in another job, I was shared with the idea that we are all made of chunks, like everybody gives chunks away. I am made of all of the individuals who have touched my life, and all of us are made of the people who have touched our lives. And Jacob touched all of us. He gave us a little chunk of himself. And we can carry those chunks forward and make that really, really special for him, because he will always be here with us. I also got to see Jeff with Jacob in that December timeframe, walking home one day from the planetarium. And it was really nice to see you together and to get to meet his family for the first time. I'm sorry to be meeting here in this space, but just a wonderful person, and I'm really grateful for us to continue his memory. So as my final tribute for Jacob, I would like to let him sing. This bowl was been with me every single day since that 27th, December 17th. And he will always be in my memory every time that I hear this sound. So this is for Jacob. I hope I can do it right.
Gosh, I'm nervous. I never get nervous up here, but I don't have any blood in my hands anymore. And I want to first say to Sheila, I'm very sorry for your loss. And to Jill, here's to Jillian and Jordan. And to Jeff, sorry for the loss of your son, your brother. And to Dylan for the loss of your son as well. To all of the Fiskers who knew Jacob, whether it was just at work or in other capacities, I'm very sorry. I know there are many of us who can't be here today and are joining us on Zoom, or sorry, on YouTube. And I'd just like to share a few memories of getting to know Jacob better. The first is that he was actually a lot of firsts for me. I've supervised over 60 students here at the planetarium. Jacob was, maybe unsurprising for many of you, the first of many experiences I ever had. I would say that the first thing is actually, he ran up to me one day and he said, as I was leaving, he said, so Nick, I'm thinking about asking Tito for a raise. What do you think? And I said, oh, well, you know, we were just closed for 16 months. That might be kind of hard. And he said, well, you know, I've learned a lot of stuff with Sheila. I don't think there's anybody else who can do this stuff besides her and me. And I said, oh, well, you know, what are you going to tell him? And we talked a little bit about, you know, how to try to convince Tito to give him a raise. So that's going to be really hard. You got to make sure you have some really good points. And he got that raise. I don't think anybody else has really came up to me and really said, you know, Nick, I think I'm going to ask Tito for a raise. What do you think? So, and then again, around the last weekend that we were doing shows in December, he also caught me as I was leaving. I'd always say goodbye, and this time I said goodbye, and then he ran out of the office and said, Nick, are you going to come back? I said, oh, yeah, I'm going to come back, but no, tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow. And that was the 18th. And he said, oh, okay, well, we should talk. And I went, oh, okay, that's unique. Usually I sit down with the office and I talk with all of the office staff and I get to know them. And this time, Jacob really wanted to make sure that we connect. And so on Saturday night, I think it was Saturday night, we got to chatting, and the thing is, he actually just really wanted to spend it just thinking. Usually he and I muse over philosophical things because, you know, one of my old friends said, Nick, you're my best friend because you never do small talk. You always do big talk. And I realized that's what Jacob was too. Jacob was the essence of that. He never did small talk with me. It was always big talk. And so this time we sat down and I asked him, how are you? And he just he answered the question and wanted us to look forward and spend the time thinking with me. And I asked him, you know, how's Bela? And that immediately got him. He really wanted to talk about Bela. He showed me pictures on his phone. And he was so happy to show me. And he's like, oh, she's so cute. She's so adorable. And I just love to see her. He said, being a father is really hard work, but it's awesome, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. And finally, for those Fiskers who can't be here, I remember there's so many times when we would be in the office together, maybe between shows, and we would have a moment where Jacob would ask us a question, something really peculiar that nobody had ever thought of before. And it was something either political or philosophical. It could be about politics, who knows, or history, I was going to say. And I remember that I would try to answer some of his questions. You know, I can't always answer all the questions my students have, but I would try because he was always asking the most interesting questions. And one time he asked a question that just nobody could answer. Everybody was completely stumped, and nobody had anything to say. They just stood there, and we all just kind of looked at the floor or the ceiling or tried to figure out what to say. I wish I could remember the question, but I think it doesn't more justice to say that happened all the time, actually. That Jacob would always ask us the most interesting questions, and then we could just muse about them and realize, wait a second, he probably already knows the answer to this question. He was so smart. He was so brilliant, so well read, that on one occasion, we actually both were trying to recall a fact, and we both went to the same Wikipedia article at the same time, on the two computers in the office. And so I put this one out there for Jacob to say that we once mused up, all of us in the office had something that we thought was wrong with us, and that we're all weirdos at heart. That Jacob made us feel complete, like a big group of weirdos, and the world was full because we were a bunch of weirdos together. And Jacob really felt like the keystone to that arch, holding us all together. And he will be deeply missed. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you all so much for getting up here and talking about Jacob and sharing lovely memories about him. It really means a lot to me. If you guys ever remember anything interesting or funny about him, I would love it if you texted or called or messaged me. I would love to gather all of those together. I want to make what I've now dubbed the Book of Jacob, so that I can give that to our daughter and she can kind of feel like she gets to know him, not just through what I have to say or what Dylan has to say or my mom or the immediate family. It would just mean a lot to me. And I think most of you have my contact information at this point. So anytime, I do miss those 3 a.m. calls, so if any of you would like to fill that spot, feel free. I was always available for it. So again, I just want to say thank you all so much. I know Jacob was dearly loved by many, more than he probably ever knew. And I wish he had known very much how many people truly cared for him deeply. Again, thank you guys.